Hey everyone! Today I am back doing another video. This video is going to be another story time video. And this story time that I'm about to tell you guys is sort of weird. And I completely forgot about this and it just like popped in my head one day and I was like, this might make a good story time video. But at the same time, I feel like it's just one of those like really weird situations that I feel like people won't totally get unless you were like there. But I don't know, I still wanted to do this story time video because this was definitely like one of the like top moments in my life where I was just like, what the hell is going on? And I'm sure a lot of you are thinking that too by reading the title of this video. So anyways, this story time is basically going to be about how I got in trouble for school for being a lesbian or being in a lesbian relationship. And also before I get started in this video, I feel like I have to say this because I feel like people nowadays are just like so sensitive about everything. But I just want to throw out there, I am not trying to be disrespectful or offensive to anyone by telling this story time video. I have nothing against gays, lesbians, trans people, you know what I mean? Nothing against them, but I just wanted to tell this story time video because I don't know, I thought it was really weird and like really like fucked up, for lack of a better word. So with all that out of the way, if you want to hear about the story time or the time that I got in trouble at school for being a lesbian, then just keep on watching. Okay, so this story time took place in middle school. I believe I was in 7th grade. And this whole time, like in middle school, I just hated that time. Like that is the one time in my life that I would never want to go back, and I am so glad it's over. Not because in middle school was just horrible for me, like being in actual school, but like just being in that age range, it was just horrible. Like being around like 13, 14, like that's just a really awkward age, I'm sure, for a lot of people, where you're going through like maybe like a really weird stage and you're kind of transitioning from like a kid to a teenager. Like it's just a really weird stage in life, and I just absolutely hated it, and I hated middle school. One of the reasons I hated middle school is because I was literally getting in trouble all the time, and I was constantly being called into the principal's office. And let me just tell you guys, like, I am not a bad person, I'm not a bad kid, and let me just tell you guys, I am not a bad person. And I'm not saying those that got in trouble a lot in school are bad people, but I mean, like, even back then, like, I was not a bad kid or a bad person whatsoever. I always followed the rules at school, out of school. Like, I was just a really good kid, and that's just who I am, and I always followed the rules. I always listened to teachers and elders. So it was just a really weird time for me that I was constantly getting in trouble in middle school for things, not even things that I did, but things like my friends did. And even if I wasn't even there, I would get pulled down with them just because I was friends with them, that sort of thing. And I just absolutely, like, our vice principal, what do you call those people? Not like the principal, but like the second under the principal. I don't think it's called the vice principal, or maybe it is, I don't know. But him particularly, like, I just butted heads with him so hard because he was just on me like white on rice. Everything that I did or my friends did, I would automatically get pulled down with them, and I would constantly get yelled at by this guy, and it was just so ridiculous because, like I said, I just wasn't a bad kid and I always followed the rules. My friends probably didn't really follow the rules as good as I did, but it was just so ridiculous how much I was getting in trouble all the time. So anyways, with that background story out of the way. So it was one day at school, I got pulled out of class into the principal's office because the principal wanted to talk to me about a situation that happened in class with one of my friends. And I was there at the time. I was not involved, but I was at the same table of like all the drama and all like the bullying, I guess, that was going on. So he just wanted to call me in and get my side of the story. And so I did that. I talked to him for a little bit, and that was it. And he said, okay, you're good to go. You can go back to class. And as I was going back to class, I walked out of the principal's office, or like the school office, whatever, and I get pulled back in by the principal that I was just talking to and the counselor. And the principal told me, like, hold on, the counselor wants to talk to you before you go back to class. And I was like, oh, okay. So I go back in the office, and I go into the counselor's office. And so she just sits me down, and she basically just starts asking me, like, really, like, weird questions. Okay, maybe not, like, weird questions, but, like, just questions that were just kind of, like, weird to ask at this time. Like, she was just asking me, like, how school was going so far, like, the semester, and you know, my hobbies, what are things that I like to do, and just what's my favorite color, like, you know, really weird questions, like, why are you literally keeping me out of class to ask me these questions? That's literally what I was thinking the whole time. And then out of nowhere, from asking me, like, oh, what's your hobbies, what's your favorite color, and then she asks me, literally in the middle of this, like, weird ass conversation, she's like, so it's quite obvious that you and so are in a relationship. And this so-and-so person that she was talking about was my best friend at the time, and she was a girl. And she was my best friend at the time. Like, we were always hanging out together in school and sitting with each other at lunch, and you know what I mean? And so, yeah, she just came out of nowhere and asked me, like, she didn't really ask me, she said, like, it's obvious that you and so are in a relationship. And I was so taken aback because, like, how do you go from, like, asking me my favorite color to, like, saying this? And, like, she didn't even ask me if we were in a relationship. She was just like, oh, it's obvious that you and so are in a relationship. And that pissed me off, and I was like, excuse me? And I'm very soft-spoken, and even if people, like, in public, like, piss me off, even to my face, like, I am not, like, mean back to them. That's just not who I am, because I just get really, like, awkward in those situations. But I got so mad at her, and I literally was just like, excuse me? Like, who do you think you are to say that when it's, like, not even true? So obviously I said, like, no, we are not in a relationship. She is my best friend. We are not in a relationship. And then she goes on to tell me that the office at the school has gotten dozens of phone calls from parents saying that their kids went home crying, which I loved that part when she said that literally kids in my grade went home crying to their mommy and daddy, that they saw me and so, my best friend, doing sexual things. And I won't say everything that she said. Like, she got, like, specific, like, down and dirty with, like, the things that these parents were saying. Like, and I was like, oh my God, like, and at this time, like, I wasn't, like, really thinking about that. Like, clearly I was, like, at that age, like, I'm noticing, like, you know, like, the opposite sex, and, like, I don't know, like, but I wasn't, like, doing any of those things, you know what I mean? And I was, like, so taken aback that she was getting, like, so down and dirty with all these, like, sexual things that these parents were calling and saying that their children saw me and my friend doing at school. And again, I got even more pissed off because she was just accusing me of all of these things me and my friend were doing. I was, like, literally yelling at her saying, like, this is a complete lie. Like, not only am I not a lesbian, I don't do that stuff with girls. Not only am I not a lesbian, but I would never do those things. If I was doing those things, I would never be doing them, like, in school. You know what I mean? Oh my God, I was so taken aback. I was so shocked, and I, like, was thinking the entire time, like, what the hell is going on? Yeah, that's basically what she told me, that the office has gotten dozens of phone calls from parents saying that me and my friend were doing these things while in school, and that we were in a relationship and doing, like, sexual things, if you know what I mean. And I just kept telling her, the counselor, I kept telling her, like, this is not true. I don't know why these kids would, like, go to their parents and, like, tell them these things, because that is not true whatsoever. She is my best friend. We are not in any way in a lesbian relationship. Like, I kept telling her this over and over again, and she was not listening to me. Like, she just kept saying, like, oh, you know, it's okay that, you know, you have feelings for, like, the same sex and blah, blah, blah. And, like, I was just thinking, like, lady, that's great that you're, like, you know, very accepting of, like, you know, gays and lesbians and how those people, like, feel about the same sex. But this is not true. This is not who I am. Like, why are you not listening to me? That I am not lesbian. Me and my best friend are not in a sexual or relationship in any way. Like, it was so annoying, and, like, the entire time I was thinking, like, why is this lady not listening to me? And like, she just kept going on and on about how, you know, it's obvious we're in a relationship. Like, it's so obvious, and, you know, it's okay that we have these feelings for each other. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna punch this girl in the face. And then finally, after like the 50th time of me telling her, like, this is not true, like, I don't understand why you're not listening to me, blah, blah, blah. And then she started to get an attitude, and she said to me, she was like, oh yeah, if you guys aren't in a relationship, then what's that written on your shoe? And let me just say, I was a big like Converse wearer in middle school, and on my Converse, my best friend, which is like the best friend we're talking about like in this whole situation, my best friend wrote on my shoe like her initials plus my initials equals heart, which I'll give the counselor that one. Okay, I understand maybe that does look a little weird because I feel like that is something like couples do, but like, I don't know, I guess at the time I just didn't think that was weird because she was my best friend. Like, I loved her as a best friend. She loved me as a best friend. Like, we were literally like so close. So at the time I just didn't think that was weird that she wrote that on my shoe. So anyways, that's what she was talking about when she was like, oh yeah, if you guys aren't in a relationship, then what's that written on your shoe? And she got so cocky. I think at that point, that's when I actually like got up from the chair and went to like leave her office, because I was like, you know what? I've had it with this conversation. You're not listening to me. I keep telling you that these allegations are not true. We are not in a relationship. I do not give two shits about what the parents said when they called in the office. Like, I'm done with this conversation. I'm out. And that's when she calmed back down and she was like, no, it's okay. Just stay, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, whatever. So I just sat back down because she like wasn't gonna let me leave. And then basically we just kind of went through the whole thing all over again, her accusing me of being in a relationship and doing these like sexual things with my best friend. And again, she went to like, you know, console me that it's okay that you feel this way about the same sex and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my gosh, this bitch is like batshit crazy. Of course, at this point, like, I was just, like I said, I was like done with the conversation. I just wanted to leave, and I just like let her talk. Like, I was done telling her that this was not true, that I'm not a lesbian, she's not a lesbian, like, we're not in a relationship like that. I was just done. So I was just sitting there looking at her the whole time, like like not saying anything because I was so over her and her bullshit. Then another point she decided to make, getting all cocky, kind of going along with like everything with like the shoe, like the thing written on my shoe. She then said like, well, don't you guys love each other, don't you? And I was like, yeah, like, we're best friends. Like, yeah, I love her because she's my best friend. Like, have you never had a friend where you loved, like, your best friend? You love your best friend. Like, why is, like, that's not weird. And then, yeah, so that's kind of what I was, like, thinking. I didn't say all that, but when she asked me, she was like, well, you guys love each other, don't you? And I was like, well, yeah. And she was like, well, then you guys are in a relationship. If you love each other, then you guys must be in a relationship. What is wrong with this lady? Like, I was like, what? Oh God, I was, if you can tell, I'm getting like really heated about this, like, because it was just so ridiculous, like, especially that line, like, are you stupid? Like, have you literally never had a best friend that you loved? Like, it's just like your family. Like, you know, I love my parents, but I'm not gonna go, you know, sleep with them. You know what I mean? Like, it was just so, like, naive, everything she was saying. Like, oh, just because I love my best friend, then we must be in a relationship together. And even after she said that, like I said before, like, I was just so over the conversation. I literally didn't say anything to her. I was just giving her dirty looks the entire time, just keeping my mouth shut. And then she eventually just let me go back to class, and that's basically the whole story time. The entire day just felt really off. Like, I was just, like, it really ruined my day because this kind of all happened in the morning, and it really just ruined my day. Like, I was so off. I couldn't even concentrate in class. I was so upset, so confused about what just happened in her office. Like I said beforehand, I don't know if, like, the story time is, like, that interesting, because I definitely feel like it was just one of those situations where you had to, like, be in it to, like, fully understand, like, how, like, screwed up it was. Like, the entire thing was just like like I was in like the twilight zone. Like it was just such a weird situation, and everything I told you guys was 120% true. It was just one of the most ridiculous situations and conversation that I've ever had with someone. I thought I would just share the story with you guys anyways. Again, like I already said, like no hate against lesbians or those that are attracted to the same sex. I'm just not one of those people, and I just really got pissed off that I was being accused of something that I'm not, accused of something that I did not do. And when you're trying to like defend yourself and like no one's listening, like it's just such a like, it's frustrating situation. So yeah, that's basically the story time about how I got in trouble at school by my counselor for being in a lesbian relationship with my best friend. Yeah, if you enjoyed the story time at all, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. I am going to get going for now, and I will talk to you all in my next video. Bye everyone.